You know the vibe, alright? This is YGG live and direct, and I'm here to big up Pinky in the Brain Live podcast, alright? So just like and subscribe and get there. Don't wait till next year. We outside, alright?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Pinky and the Brain! The Maddis and the Bodies talk show. I want to understand this talk show is a talk show with a difference. So make sure you subscribe to Pinky and the Brain. Take over the world. Right, that's it. Ninja food setup.
Look where we reach again. End up in a party in the streets again. Even though I never wanna
Yes.
man and 1,000 girl, I wanna jam on. Look where we reach, hello. Hey,
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pinky and the Brain Talk Show. I'm your girl, Prestige ATM, inside the building, penthouse, 6th floor. And this evening, I'm alongside Ian the Goose Elegant, who is filling in for none other than Platinum, the money-making machine. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
That's a pretty one. I'm sorry, Platinum. I don't know why you've got me up in here, bro. Anyway.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. It's a beautiful evening on the outside, and it's such a pleasure, Ian, to have you with me this evening.
The pleasure is certainly all
Right, so tell the people out there something.
Hey, what's up? Anybody who owes me money, inbox. I think I'm going to have some fun with this the first time here. So
Right.
I'm going to try to do Platinum justice
Right.
by being as Platinum is. Oh,
Just
no.
be yourself.
No, I think I'm going to be myself.
Right.
Totally boring.
Oh, gosh, no.
Stush. You know.
Well, you know what? I'll hold your hand.
Okay.
And
all right.
I'll make you,
Cross the
you know,
road,
right.
All right, well, I see. I'm getting it.
Nice.
Yeah, but
Okay, Irene.
Cook and curry.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome. And as I always say, hope you had a very good week and hope your upcoming week is going to be great. And despite of what you're going through, always keep your eye on the prize, keep your head up, and don't let anybody tell you that you cannot. All right?
I like that.
Right.
Positive.
Positive. And of course, tomorrow is Father's Day, Ian.
Lord.
So special happy Father's Day to all those men out there.
It's never a big event for us dads. No. So don't act like it's some sort of a special day. When it's Mother's Day, the television, the radio, the Mexicans be out with flowers. It's a big to-do. Restaurants are overpacked. Tomorrow the restaurants are going to be empty.
Right.
Yes. Dads have to suck salt. It's a truism.
Yeah.
And, on behalf of the Fathers Association, I complain.
Oh boy.
I lodged my complaint
Yeah.
with the Mothers Association of the United States of America.
All right.
Yes. We want advertisements as much as we want.
Right.
We want flowers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All
Although
right.
some of us would like to keep it on the down low.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is what it is, but regardless, there are a lot of men out there who do their thing. There are a lot of men who make very, very good fathers, who are very good fathers, right?
Absolutely.
And your children love you regardless, okay?
Yes.
So again, big up and happy Father's Day, to all the fathers on the global scale in the global community.
I hope you're cheering. Remember, yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I recovered somewhat, but if you remember from last week, I have the cold, right? The flu.
You have the flu?
Right. So I recovered somewhat. So you may still hear a little thing in my voice, all right? So bear with me.
You don't have any goony goonies?
Come like platinum.
Wait a minute. Is that why he's in here? Fast one on me, bro.
All right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump into the topic. And our topic for tonight is to the bottom of the screen there, where, we're pondering and discussing and looking at the village no longer raises the child. right? That's what we're looking at tonight. The village no longer raises the child. And Ian,
Yes.
as a person from the West Indies,
Mhm.
Trinidad, as myself, um, I think we can clearly recall the upbringing we had back in the day. What you have to summarize about that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I remember growing up as a kid in Trinidad. If you did anything wrong, any person familiar in the neighborhood, anybody who knows your mother and your father, they have the license to tap you up.
I like that one. The license to tap you up.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. You know, it's almost as if everyone else was a surrogate parent. You know,
Right.
so there was a certain respect that you had for everyone else because everyone else, you know, you would look upon them as you would your mother, your father, and you would have that respect for them. So that, you know, like for instance, today's young people would use obscene language any and everywhere.
Right.
And even if they are in the presence of people they don't know, like, you know, on public transportation, the train, whatever, you know, they cuss loud. When I was growing up, what? That was unheard of. You know, once an adult is around, you maintain a certain level of respect.
Right. Right. Where do you think the train fall off the rail? And at what era? At what point? This is what we're trying to understand.
I think it began, first of all, it began with music. And then things started happening to parents' lives. The cost of living went up, so parents had to be on the job more. And I think a lot of things happened. It wasn't just like one thing alone. You know, people just got so busy trying to survive that a lot of the social upbringings, you know, things like respect and saying good morning and thank yous, we didn't have time for that anymore. We just had to hustle, and the parent was the person. There was, you know, there was I think there was a break.
Hmm.
We used to have two parents,
Right. Two parents household.
and
Right.
then the village parents, and then
Hmm.
it boiled down to just one parent, and in the main it was like the mom,
Right.
and
It ended
everything
up
was
being just the mother. Right.
breadwinner, disciplinarian, you know, judge and jury,
Right.
and
Execution is.
right, and then it came to social media where we got more mobile,
Hmm.
and so the parent got go distant from the child, you know, because the child, you remember when cell phones first came out, it was so easy to keep a child quiet by giving them the phone.
Right. I was a babysitter, the new babysitter,
Right.
because
So
before was a television.
yes,
Right.
and that contributed to because the phone now brought the world to their eyes,
Mhm.
and the global problems and everything else went out the window from then.
Right. Right.
Back then, now, what?
Um. Well, I heard you mention earlier about the music. Now, I believe it's partial. It's a part of it. I don't think it's wholly the reason why, right? But for someone who you've been double dabbling in music for your entire life, I think you need to go a little deeper when you say that the music contributes.
Oh, yeah. Well, music, everything. I mean, if you want to meditate,
Because some people out there will beg to differ, especially artists.
let me know what it's all. Listen,
But we know it's influential.
listen. If you want to go to bed, do you play music that's upbeat and loud and very rhythmic?
No. Well, it depends on the person, but for me, no.
Well,
No. Right.
yeah. So the music is a vibration, and we as human beings, we all vibrate at frequency.
Right.
And you find that the people who vibrate with similar frequencies are better able to communicate and interact.
Right.
Music has a vibration, music has a frequency, and music can make you happy, music can make you want to jump up, music can make you relax.
Right.
It has an effect undeniable on people, and
Right.
especially on children. when a young person is exposed to music of a particular type that produces a rhythm that they like, but a message that is controversial, sometimes it becomes now a subliminal teaching to them.
Right.
You see, so when you use like obscene language, when you denigrate women,
Right. Vulgarity.
vulgarity, yeah, it becomes the norm after. It takes about 21 days for anything to become a habit with a human being.
Right.
And this music is at the young people's mind, or 24/7. They're
Right.
liking it, and so it's teaching them, it's breeding them, it's preparing them, for whatever. And they don't even know that they're being prepared for certain things.
So that will be a part, if you will, of the village no longer raising the child. That will be a part.
Absolutely,
That will be a part.
absolutely, because now you've got this teacher, and the teacher is abstract.
Mhm.
The teacher is not someone you can ask questions of, and the teacher does not specify something to you. It's not tailor made to a particular child.
Right.
So the message is universal, and it's negative,
Right. Right. All right. Um.
and the parent isn't listening.
Well, a lot of the parents, remember, I mean, folks, we're being real here tonight. A lot of the parents are still on an immature train,
That's another thing. Yeah.
right? You have a lot of parents
yeah.
out there who
Weren't
they didn't
ready.
really have the chance or the opportunity. They weren't ready mentally, emotionally, financially, sometimes even physically to really bring forth children, and far less to raise them.
Yeah, I remember some years ago I began seeing a lot of young girls alone pushing strollers, and there was no father, and I'm looking at them like, hey, she looks like 12,
Mhm.
and so I started thinking then that there's so many, we're going to have a problem. And then I started seeing young people screaming at kids on the train because
Frustrated.
they didn't know, they did not have that development, that control,
Right.
and so children were raising children all over the place. Lord have his mercy.
Now, mind you, this happened. Children raised children back in the day in my grandma's days, because remember, you were hearing girls 13 and 14 having children, but I think a lot of them were getting married,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it was a bit different. It had a family union, if you will, right?
Mhm.
So it's not like, because some people will say, well, yeah, since back in the day, teenagers, the young ladies have been having children. But I think that particular generation in the 40s and the 50s and stuff, those people, even if they were young, as I said, the fathers were there.
And then you had a lot of family members close by, aunts and uncles who would help,
Right, extended family.
Yeah, the village was a village then, and everyone was interacting in a positive way. But then when social media took over, then everything became cold. All of the relationships were strained, and even your aunt didn't know you too well. You don't know your aunt well. People
Right.
cease to hug. A lot of people don't hug. A lot of people, just
Not loving.
not loving. Yeah.
Well, to give love, you have to know it, right? You have to be a beneficiary of it. And a lot of people out there, based on upbringing, that love was very absent,
Absolutely.
right? And it
Totally
passed on
agree.
generation to generation. Because remember, back in the Caribbean, now in most of the Caribbean, you hear um, parents telling their kids, I love you. But there's a huge portion of the generation in the Caribbean throughout. For that love you to come out these people mouth, it was hard, it was difficult.
Yes, some parents, some children, um, have never heard that from their father. For
Right.
instance, Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Sometimes dad is young, and for him, I tell the child I love him. You might give him a bump,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Dad, I love you, man.
Yeah.
Big respect.
Because it's hard for it to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Um, I'm reflecting,
Mhm.
and I think I will be a part of that generation. There's something called the barrel generation. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
And the barrel generation started mainly in the late 70s into the 80s.
Mhm.
And let's take Trinidad for instance, because that's where we're from, so we could talk best on that behalf. You find there are a lot of parents, especially women, they started getting the opportunity to travel because they were looking for better lives. They wanted to make, better lives for their moms and their children. And most of these women were single. You probably had some who were married, but they just wanted to get out to make a better life. So they left dad home with the kids and will send money to build a home and that type of stuff. But for the huge percentage, it was women who were single parents and jumping out to secure financial security for the family, right? Now, mind you, this barrel generation, as I said, I'm a part of it. The absence of the mother wasn't there, so they left you with grandma or auntie, right? Sometimes these grandparents, they were already old. They don't really have the strength to supervise.
Yes, they can't run after you.
So these children started developing own way, as my grandmother often say. So the barrel generation, a lot of us didn't get proper supervision, and whatever little supervision some of us got, it was fine. But for the most part, you find it was aunts who had their own children to maintain, or maybe it's uncles who had their own, and then some of us, some of the barrel generation children, you were left under people who are very abusive.
Yeah, and then a lot of people misunderstood. They sort of substituted that love that wasn't there.
Right.
They thought by sending a pair of sneakers,
Right.
that would tell the child, mommy, or dad loves you.
Right.
When in truth and in fact, here was this child just wanting to see mama, hear mama,
Right.
or
Right.
hang with mom, hug mom, kind of thing. Yeah, I get it. I get
Right.
it.
But back then, you're not understanding that the parent had to take that choose that choice, that opportunity, in order to make a better way for you.
If that was what the parent was really doing.
If that right. And then there were people who sent for their children when they got on their 2 feet and that type of thing. But that barrel generation, I think things started trickling down from there. It started to get a little loose. But then by the time the 90s kicked in, coming down to the 2000, blown out of proportion. So I always try to tell people, remember, there's this thing called the barrel generation, that we were just getting, and we started growing up always having, because these barrels keep coming, right? You know what? Just a truck pulls up in front and 8 and 10 barrels rolling off the truck.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And you have every brand name, every clothes, one bunch of food, all these different things. But again, the parents were just sending. And a lot of these people, they didn't even have documents to come home.
Right.
So they kept sending, and they were calling on the phone. Your voice sounding like you're getting big, man.
I was a customs clerk in Trinidad, and you're very right about that. I mean, it's new to me tonight.
Right.
You talking about this barrel generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I'm putting it all together, and I'm saying, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we started having our little own ways, and now we trickle down now that you see now a lot of people are still depending on grandparents. Grandparents, it's not their jobs, it's not their responsibility to take care of your children, to look over and be wholly and solely responsible for your children.
Yeah, they're supposed to be retired.
Yeah.
And enjoying life.
And very few grandparents really want to put down their feet and say, well, no, they always accept and they're willing. But even in Trinidad and other places, the grandparents, it's their pension, it's their money going towards, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're not straying from the village, no longer raises the child, which primarily is focusing on the whole community itself. But all the little things that we're putting in there, it still applies to what we're discussing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
And then one of the major parts of growing up, as I remember, it was going to church. Here you had the church playing a role, a part of the village, and it was, to me, as I look and reflect on it now, and a lot of people may disagree with what I'm saying here, but to me it was more of a predatory role than a teaching role.
Mm-hmm.
Because the priest was always the person you gave the collection to.
Right.
But the priest was never there to give you proper instruction. And
applause for that.
We're coming to hear of all of these problems. And that is not to say that they were not well-meaning and decent priests. But I've always had an issue with the idea of religion dictating without actually being in a position to help.
Right.
You see, so you are forced now to adhere to commandments.
Right.
But the reality of your living situation is that you need a certain something. And I always felt like, for instance, here, these Protestant churches here in the U.S., they played an instrumental role in the immigration movement.
Okay.
In that they would help people get, get their papers, they would help with food,
Right.
And I don't remember the church back in Trinidad doing that, no?
Well, they will give little bags and little thing, and then they think giving little Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But I didn't think they
Once
did. They
in a
did
while, no?
huge contributions.
No, but you had to give collection every Sunday.
Right. And again, predominantly poor people, because they mostly target impoverished people.
It was a sin not to go to church, and
Right.
it was a sin not to put something in the collection plate.
Right.
And so, to me, that's one of the contributing factors.
Right.
People may not agree.
Because these people, well, they don't really help, but they still have to actually find and give and put towards an institution that is not really giving back much.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you're being held to adhere to a code of ethics, but then no one explains to you
Right.
why. And children are in the main, man. They want to know why.
Right. Right.
Why can't I go outside? Why can't I do this? Why can't that person be my friend?
Right.
And those responses weren't forthcoming. It was just you do as the dictates of the commandments. That's it.
Right.
Boy, Platinum.
Yeah, like the audience.
Platinum, how am I doing, bro?
Oh my gosh. So time goes by while we're having fun, right? So right now it's almost half time here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. It's an hour and it goes pretty fast. So why not we jump into our little we'll take a look at our birthday person for this evening. Right? Yeah, and we have him there on the screen. So let me just have his info there really quick. Right? And that's our guy there. So we're saying a special happy birthday shout out to Kareem One Drop Simpson. So the One Drop, he plays music, right? And he's out there in Atlanta, Georgia. And Kareem is coming from the Pinky and the Brain Talk Show. We wish you happy birthday.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday, Brez. Big up.
Right.
Big up, One Drop.
Isn't there a song? Give me a little one drop. No?
I know One Draw.
Oh, it's One Draw? I sing any people thing wrong.
I don't.
Who sing it?
What, One Draw?
Yeah, it's a reggae song.
Yeah.
It's One Draw?
Yeah.
I said One Drop. Well, something to the effect.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kareem, we wish you the best. And Prestige, I wish everybody that you live up to 110. So wish you success, longevity in careers, family-wise, and you as a person, as a man himself with you. And even if you're a dad, happy Father's Day in advance to you, all right? So again, a special happy birthday shout out to Kareem One Drop Simpson in Atlanta, Georgia, from the Pinky and the Brain Talk Show.
Yeah, man. Big up.
All right, so we are back and we are continuing here discussing the village no longer raises the child. All right, so what are some of the components? What are some of the things that constitutes, that combines, makes the ingredients of raising a village, raising a child? I will start and you probably add on. So number one will be police officers getting involved and organizing groups.
I don't like that.
And certain activities.
I don't like that.
Oh, so you don't like that. Okay, so name some of them that you think constitutes the village raising the child, or the ones from back then that we had incorporating.
Well, first of all, I think the playing field should be level. And here's where the politicians come in. If people govern properly and govern honestly, people would live better lives. There is enough in the world for all to share. There is enough wealth to share, but a lot of times there is a lot of corruption in government, and so if that aspect is handled, that to me is one of the instrumental, helpful, you know,
All right, where the village is
solutions. Right.
concerned.
You mentioned police. To me, police are there to um, to deal with lawbreakers. You know, the police are there to protect and to serve. I don't necessarily agree that it's a policeman's job um, to help you raise your child.
So you don't believe in the little youth groups and thing that they put together?
Absolutely.
Right, so that's what I was
Absolutely.
talking about.
Absolutely. But that now is an adjustment to policing because the policeman deals with the criminal element, you see? And so it's difficult, as far as I'm concerned, to deal with the criminal element and be watching out. And because you have to be in a particular state of mind to deal with the criminal element. To deal with teaching and to deal with bringing in respect, to me, that's the policeman who handles his duty with respect. So he deals even with the criminal element with a certain degree of, the policeman was right. Yeah, he manners him right.
Okay.
You know, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm understanding. I'm understanding.
Right. So that so I leave the police out. You know, let the let the police, deal with the criminal element, manage that aspect of it. Let us have people like teachers and parents in the education system helping, because to me, young people aren't taught manners anymore and respect. You know, decorum. These things aren't taught anymore.
But remember, these things begin from home.
Right, but remember, in many instances
Go
now
ahead, excuse me.
there is one parent at home, and the other parent, mm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in the absence of proper parenting, I think, because I think if you have two parents at home and everything is well, then that young person, those young people are going to be much better off. So, I think we're actually talking about broken households in a manner.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it is it's broken, but there is a burden
Yes.
on one parent.
Right.
You
Which
know?
which oftentimes is the female, the
Yeah.
mother.
Right, because the disciplining, especially of children who are a little difficult, it's hard on one person.
Mhm.
Load, and sometimes a woman needs a man to step in there, boy, you're miserable, go by your father.
Right.
And all that has to do is look at you and
Right.
create like a pin.
Right.
Am I off track?
No, because all these things contributes to
Yeah.
us saying the village no longer raises the child. It's a lot of different components, right?
Yeah, it's so I think that if in schools respect and decorum and community spirit was an element, we would have less of the problems that we have today. But today, there is little respect for the teachers. I have seen videos where teachers on the run.
Right.
From an
They don't want to
aggressive
teach
student.
anymore.
Not only that, but the student is aggressive towards the teacher
Right. Because that's what they learn. That's a learned behavior.
correct,
That's a learned behavior.
and then they call the parent to the school, and the parent is angrier than the child.
Right.
So it goes back a bit now. We have to wheel and come again with respect teaching, disrespect and so on.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
You're not sure of yourself yet?
No, I am. Sure of
Okay,
myself.
then good.
I just want to make sure that I'm putting it in an understanding.
Right, well, we have all different types of people and regions and cultures out there. So we always have to try to make sure that we're not too over the border in regards to intellect, and then we don't want to be under.
Right.
We want to have a
right.
balance, right?
Yeah.
Because there are different people
Want to
listening.
see eye to eye.
Right. Too bad we can't speak multiple languages.
Like
You-
Platinum.
Yep.
Platinum, he's an expert at delivering these.
These languages.
He's got a kind of wisdom that is like, oh yeah.
His own unique
And
way.
of course you as well.
Pick up the platinum on the outside.
Yeah. You're the really pinky and the brain.
Pinky and the
brain.
Oh my goodness. So the question here is, when we say the village no longer raises a child, We're supposed to be talking about both girls and boys.
Absolutely.
But for some strange reason, I think the struggle comes more with boys.
Yeah,
You
because
get a deeper backlash with young men.
because of the nature of the animal, that's the human. You know, girls are a little more dainty, and girls are in the main. I mean, mothers shelter their daughters more than they do their boys. Rain falling, and boy gone pay in the rain.
Right.
But they wouldn't send their daughter out to play in the rain.
Right.
you
Come
know.
inside before you get sick.
Right. You need something in the store.
Right.
You wouldn't send your daughter. You see, you send your son to the store. So, boys, people have this idea and this impression that boys are sturdier.
Mhm.
Boys can take more pressure,
Right.
and that may not necessarily be so.
You know, so we talk about friendship, we talk about
Well,
relationship.
from my perspective, right? If I have to really dig into this village no longer raises the child.
Due to Joe's music.
It's so much more to the neighbors themselves, right? Keeping eyes out and looking out and being concerned and all these different things, right?
But that's not with neighbors who you're cussing.
No, not the ones that curse it out.
If you and your neighbor, oh God, Lord, your mango tree.
Because primarily that is the term the village no longer raises the child or no longer raises children. That is what we primarily often look at, the
Yes,
neighbors
yes,
themselves, the
yes,
community.
yes.
But it goes beyond that, right? As you had mentioned earlier with government and so forth.
Right.
That's still all, under national community within that country, right? But
Yes, you have national, you have local, you have regional.
right.
Right.
Right. So the if I can recall the whole term about it is it's missing, right?
Oh,
Because we had it, and I think it was a global thing for most places, depending on the culture, especially the Caribbean, who we know that the village no longer raises a child. That was just a part of life, right? Because I can recall one day walking on the street in my community, in my village, and I was cursing and using vulgarity with somebody, and this lady, she was sitting in a gallery, but I didn't realize she wasn't. I thinking she not paying me no mind.
She know your mother.
And my grandmother.
Yeah.
And by the time I reached home, a belt was waiting for me,
Yeah.
right? She phoned my grandmother, right? And she gave details. And my grandmother didn't ask a question to say, well, did you or did you not?
She had the whole
What?
story. And
Right?
nothing you could say. Can't
So
lie.
right. So then I started paying attention to what I say and how I say it and where.
Right.
Right? And then another time, walking down the street, I didn't tell a particular lady morning I would go to school and just pass her because I didn't like her. I didn't like her face. She's still alive. I didn't like her face. Children are.
Right.
And she had this look, and I was like, oh, she's mean. But I would just pass and never say anything to her. She and my grandmother go to the same church. And I went to church one day at my grandmother, and she said, that is your granddaughter? She said, that is the girl have no manners, no respect. She's passed people straight. So
So
my
she really
grandmother,
was mean. You were right.
my grandmother said, wait until we get home. So this is a perfect little example of how the community back then.
Yeah.
Now it's totally different. You cannot make a mistake and say you're making a report. It's the mother, the child, the children, the whole crew coming to cuss and beat you.
Yeah. And as parents got younger, you couldn't entrust them to discipline with corporal punishment anymore.
No.
Because they would go beyond. And so corporal punishment now became a dangerous thing. And while you might have the control to give your miserable child a little two-lash
Spanking, yeah.
a little thing to keep them in place, you couldn't. Not every parent now you can trust, because some people will go overboard, and a lot of children have been hurt.
Right.
And so now you got this banner: you don't do it.
Right.
But I do know that corporal punishment helped me back in the day to pull up myself.
Right, right,
Sylvia was easy.
right. It keep you in check.
Oh yeah,
Right? Now, once it wasn't the abusive kind. The
exactly.
abusive kind, it mentally drained some people, and it allowed them to grow up toxic, right?
Yes, yes.
Based on the type of beating, the abuse they got. But the little spanking with the little whip, whap, 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 and you're crying and you go in your bed. Um, that was a little normal to
I
me.
remember back in school, you broke the line, and you had to go to the principal's office for some strokes.
Right,
You
absolutely.
couldn't break a line.
Right.
Now today, you break a line, the principal tell you anything you looking for.
Yeah, because we often see all these videos on Facebook and all these with these children ranting and raving, and these teachers literally have to fight back.
Yeah.
Students are picking up chairs and
it-
flinging and skying it, and teachers ducking and people recording. Oh my gosh, it's a mess. So the village went out the door, right? And the respect and the mannerisms and all these different things where human beings, children, is concerned, everything went out the door. And again, we look back earlier on different instances, what contributed to it. But we can go on and on. I do not think personally, Ian, that we are going to get back the
Oh no,
the village no longer raises
no,
a
no,
child thing.
no.
That's gone. It's not coming back.
Yeah, because you need elders with a certain level of wisdom. You need elders that people respect. And
Right.
when you have your religion taken away from you, as in the case with black people,
Right.
and there are generations of black folk who don't have that type of unity.
Uh-huh.
Because one of the benefits of religion is it helps a community bind together, and black people in particular have lost that because that has been taken away from us.
Right.
And it has been replaced by something that is not us. And so it's not totally there anymore. In some instances, it certainly still is, but in the main, we are the scattered flock. Unfortunately, and so other cultures are thriving and growing because they got that unity and they got respect. The elders have respect, you see,
Right.
and that I think helps.
Because those are ancient things.
Yeah.
Those are ancient things that was pretty much implanted into those cultures, right?
And all cultures.
Huh?
And all cultures.
Right. It's ancient things.
And those who lost that hierarchy of control are suffering the most.
Right.
And it happens in a it's deliberately done to weaken people.
Right.
Anyway, that's another thing.
Yeah, because some people say, "Ooh, listen to him." Well, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. But seeing that tomorrow is Father's Day, I will touch on the fact that the absence of a lot of fathers contributed to the village no longer raises a child thing, and you had touched on it earlier on, right?
Yes.
There's nothing like having a strong male figure within the home, right? But unfortunately, a lot of black men especially goes through a lot of different things in society because life is somewhat more difficult for them than the other races of men, right? Now, some people may beg to differ. Remember, this is just my opinion. These are our views and our opinions, right? So we respect your views as well as we'd like if you respect ours, right? But being real is just being real. And there are a lot of black men who feel pressured. There are a lot of black men who try their very, very utmost best. And when push comes to shove and the water starts passing the eyes and going up, of course, what's going to happen to you?
You burst.
You're right, you're going to drown, you're going to burst. And unfortunately, sometimes walking away or packing up and leaving becomes an option. And then the village no longer raises a child thing gets into play because dad, he's not at home, he's not the authority figure. And sometimes children may end up lashing back because he's no longer there, right? And pertaining to what mom may say or what mom may preach, it makes it worse, right? So I think to the men out there, it's very hard, it's very difficult, and I think society they misconstrued. They figure that every man that is not a wrong is a bad father, or a lot of people look at it like that. Well, the father gone, so he ain't good. No, a lot of times it were men who were trying, right?
And the mother was miserable.
Okay. Well, you just had to
The
say that.
devil made me
Yeah,
do
but it's
that.
the truth. Is it? Oh, the devil made you say it. Oh, right? Is
Whoever
it
that thing is.
whoever? Right? Right? So
Toxic situation, basically.
that's a part of
Toxic.
the village no longer
A lot of
raising
people
the
are
child.
toxic.
Right? The toxicity is there, it's floating out in the air. So when it's time to manhandle, or it's time to put your feet down, or it's time to put the bass in your voice,
Mm-hmm.
sit down there. Let me talk.
Mm-hmm.
Mommy might pick up a little pot spoon and run your. "Ah!" You laughing kiki kaka,
Yeah, because
right?
they can run faster than
Because you could. And oftentimes moms will say, they're upset, don't do this, don't do that. And by the time you look around within 20 minutes, they say they're hugging and they're patting. So you're giving a mixed signal.
Yeah,
So once you give
yeah.
that mixed signal, you're playing with your authority. You're never going to be taken seriously.
That's good
Right?
advice. Yes.
Right. You're not going to be taken seriously. So everything becomes haywire. The village no longer raises the child in regards to the mom, there's an issue there. The father, there's an issue there. And now maybe the neighbors try to step in, right, and throw an eye, or contribute things to the household, because there are a lot of people out there, Ian, who are living in impoverished conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also a lot of people, the external of the home looks pretty well. But
Mm-hmm.
inside the home, they are going through certain things and they're dealing with certain situations, and they are living in impoverished conditions, like food wise and so forth.
What a web we humans weave.
Right?
What a web.
So based on certain things, maybe you find the as you said earlier, based with the church, it come forward, right? But based on how you had explained it, which I understand, I hope the audience would understand as well. It's like I think the religion thing is like a sponge; it absorbs,
Mm-hmm.
right? It absorbs. So I'm not straying from the point in regards to the fathers, as I said, because tomorrow is Father's Day. But I'm trying to just poke and remind you guys that the village no longer raises a child thing. It also got impacted, not just with the music stuff, but when the dad
It's a lot. It's a
starting
lot. So
the
bear
dad
that in,
starting
bear
to
that in
flicker down.
mind. Bear that in mind as you move forward, and when you're starting families,
Right.
control, and more people should be careful, especially women. Be careful of who you choose as your father,
As your partner.
as your children's father. And so, too, fellas need to be very, very careful, because a lot of men these days are looking at the twerk. Boy, that chick could wine, and but she may not make a good mother. You know what I mean?
The pretty face.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
and then too, oh boy, your hair might not be her hair.
Of course,
You
yeah.
know, fellas, is a problem what you wake up with in the morning might not be what you went to bed with in the night before. Be straight. Okay. Y'all have a happy Father's Day. We
Right?
wish you well.
So we have to jump into our other little segment there, but before I go into that, I just want to take us back a little into history, and this is where I always try to remind people. I said, listen to me. During the course of history, the strength of the family was being together, and the slave masters, they noticed that, so they always tried to make sure we were broken up into pieces, and they
And they're still
started,
doing it today.
and that is how it started trickling down.
Mhm.
They understood the value, they understood the strength of a family. And people may say, oh, no, but it's a contribution, ladies and gentlemen. And once you had people being separated, people being sold, people being ripped apart, I think it started trickling down. And unfortunately, the blacks, I think a pattern started to engrave itself into, some people may agree, some people may disagree, but I think a pattern started to engrave itself into society, and we started following that pattern, which is not a good pattern. Because if you look at all the other ethnic groups, which is a better term to use, a lot of them, they understand family. They were conditioned to understand the value of family, right? Now we're not saying they wouldn't be going through their stuff, but for the most part, they always make sure it's cemented in a family oriented manner.
You're very right about that. We're at a critical phase right now because we even have these jokers now in government who in front of everybody, as blatant could ever be, telling you that to educate yourself about history and its past and how it has affected and caused the day to be is
Right.
not something that we should discuss anymore. And so, being aware um, is now something that they would like to strike down because here you are now empowering yourself
Good knowing the truth.
and becoming more powerful and now he's like the fool down by so who's saying that
Right.
we have to stop this woke. Essentially what woke is and what woke really means is people becoming more aware of
Understanding. Yeah.
and understanding as to all of these things that are negatively affecting them, and they would like to have these things addressed. How the past affects how their lives are today and what's going to be happening for the future. Why is that such a problem? Because if you don't understand history and if you don't know how things really
You're gonna
became,
understand yourself.
you're not going to understand. It's going to be repeated again, and there are many out there who are hoping for a repeat.
Right.
And
Right. Trying to erase, eradicate
it
here.
saddens me to see black people wear their colors and cheer them on.
Right.
It breaks my heart. Well, it actually makes me angry.
I know.
But folks, y'all, I make no apologies for that. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, well said. Well said. All right. All right. So before we wrap up, we're gonna go into our good. So here we have on the screen we have some beautiful young ladies, right? And they will fall under our Young Global Achievers segment. And this is in St. Vincent. Now, normally, around this time, we'll do the missing person. But sometimes I try to stray from it. And if I don't find anybody missing, it's hip hip hooray. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Round of applause.
Right? So we have on the screen there the Young Global Achiever segment, and this is in St. Vincent, and it's
Big up to the big C
of course, big up to all the Vincentians out there. They have carnival going on now.
Carnival and a lot of music.
Oh wow, it's only we missing here.
Yeah.
All right, so the Rotary Club recognizes the fourth formers there in St. Vincent, and I think it's students from all the different secondary schools,
Ooh.
right? I think each pupil represented for the schools there. So I always like looking out
That's
for
good. There is hope. There is
for
hope.
things about young people.
Now, there is hope here.
There is
See?
hope there.
Yeah, all is not lost.
All is not lost.
Big up. Yeah.
Right. So I always try to find and locate young people who are doing great things, who are aspiring, and who, just exudes greatness, right? So the Rotary Club of St. Vincent hosted yet another successful annual George Phillips Excellence Awards ceremony, during which 27 fourth formers representing each secondary school in St. Vincent, right?
And the Grenadines.
And the Grenadines. They were recognized for their outstanding performances.
Congratulations.
Of course. The students were selected based on the following criteria. 1, outstanding academic performance. 2, team leadership. 3, commitment to discipline, based on what we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
And 4, achievement in approved extracurricular activities, right? Over 50 parents and teachers were present to support their students.
That's awesome.
Of
That is
course,
awesome.
of course,
That's awesome.
who were awarded at the luncheon ceremony held at the Methodist Church Hall on Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. The George Phillips Excellence Awards is named after the charter president of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent.
Congratulations. That is good. More power to these young people.
Of course. So that's our Young Global Achievement segment for tonight. And again, we don't have individual names, right? It's a whole large group, but we wish them luck.
You get a big up. You get a big up.
Everybody gets a big. Oprah, you get a car. You get a car. Right. So again, and it's so nice to see that they each represent a school. Each have a school they represent for.
And the good thing about it is there are people who are noticing and rewarding them for that effort.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, so that's a lesson for all of us. When people do good, reward them, encourage them to to go on to even greater heights.
And I chose this because I would consider this to be something where we talk about with the village.
The village, yeah.
Right? So
we're ending on a positive note.
Right, we're on a positive. So there are still places, there are still people, there are still institutions and stuff that try to make an attempt with the village raising the children. Right, but for the most part, it's very minimal. But whichever ones that we locate, the Pinky and the Brain Talk Show, we like to promote these type of very rewarding and achieving things. And again, big up to all you young people there in St. Vincent. Right, Ian?
Yeah.
So the time is approaching. Time flies. You see, we probably just have 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes left in the building.
Very good. Can you handle it, people?
So we're getting ready to wrap up. And in closing, it's giving you 2 cents, right? Giving you 2 cents about things, and it's in regards to our topic tonight. We'll give the 2 cents on that. So, Ian, give us your 2 cents.
Okay. We are at a point in our existence as human beings where we are not as aware as those in the past. Back in the day, people developed a lot of things based on their noticing that things weren't right, and so they found ways to fix it by inventing things. And that was the brain at work. Today we have technology, software that's doing a lot of the thinking for us, and now we have that challenge of AI. Artificial intelligence now comes in and ups the ante in taking away the ability of the human to think and when you do not use any part, evolution has taught us, if you don't use anything, you will eventually lose it.
Right.
If you don't walk, then you will lose the use of your legs.
Right.
And if you stop thinking and if you pay too much attention to keep those kids away from, I'm just trying to say, keep young people's minds away from computers and tablets and so on for a major part of the day. Get them out there playing games, playing sport. Be mindful of the good of artificial intelligence and be mindful of the possible dangers. In fact, the people who created artificial intelligence are now warning us of grave dangers. So if them make it and them warning about it, you need to be aware of its dangers also. So human beings have stopped thinking and analyzing. We have television stations and so on that are now controlling the minds of people. You can promote all kinds of ideologies. You can lie to people and they are not looking to see whether is that true, is that factual. Right. No one is a lot of people are too lazy to fact check, so a lot of people are blind followers to a lot of things that are destructive.
Exactly.
So all I'm saying is be mindful of all of these dangers that are out there, and keep your children's minds safe. Let the village be strong again.
Right.
Let us be aware. Let us continue to be awake as to the dangers around us.
Right.
And let's be more respectful of the elders and young people too. Let's give them their space, because you may not like what young people are doing, but your parents didn't like what you were doing.
Exactly. It repeats, right? Excellent.
I mean, there's a lot I'm trying to pack into
right.
space here, but village, there is a place for the village, and there is a place for a modern village.
Right.
It can't be the same village.
No, it wouldn't be.
It won't be the same village as yesterday.
No.
But we have to redefine and be aware that we need to get a village for this time.
Exactly. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Good to Platinum. How did I do?
Well, in closing, my 2 cents, the village no longer raises a child. We have to accept that. But there are still people like myself and other people who still try to push that out there to a certain degree. Because I work with children, and I always try to incorporate certain things and show and express and teach certain things with them. I try to do my part as best as I can, as well as there are other people out there. But for the most part, there are a lot of other people who don't have the time. Their lives are all busy, and things have changed. The respect pendulum, it trickled down, and disrespect is now something that is in control, despite of where you go. Children just curse and use their profanity as loud as possible. Nobody's business, right? And I always say that these things are learned behaviors, and a lot of these things begin from the home. The school system, the 6 or 7 hours that children are there, teachers can only do so much. But children's first teachers are their parents from the minute they step out of the womb. Okay, so with that being said, let's try our best. Let's still try to see how much we could push our feet forward and at least do. I know you have to be very mindful now of seeing children doing things and trying to say, hey, you can't do that because you're going to get blasted out. But for the most part, just try to contribute in different ways. Try to find different guidances, like little programs or little fashion show, something. The community center days, all these things, wow, they kind of disappear. Although again, as I said, some people do try. All right, so our time here is running out. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. Ian, thank you so much for joining me this evening and filling in the spot of Platinum.
Hope I did justice.
Right?
Respect.
So like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can also hashtag Prestige and Platinum 2023 to find us on YouTube and Facebook. And on TikTok, hashtag Pinky the Brain Pink. All right, that you can locate us. And in regards to interviews, advice, letters, voiceovers, commercials, drop, sound system rentals, and an event host or host, you can WhatsApp us at 868-356-9009 or send us an email at pinkyandthebrain2023@gmail.com.
Easy to remember.
All right, so we are departing. We are leaving. It's a pleasure to always be here. All right, and as I always say, keep your mind on money and money on your mind. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't. Sky's the limit. And always keep your eye on the prize. Always be mindful of your surroundings. Always be good to people, and definitely people will be good to you in return. All right. So, Ian, again, thanks for coming.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Right. And what you plan on doing for Father's Day tomorrow?
I'm going to be on the radio and spend time with the kids and all that. And,
all right. Beautiful.
Just
Beautiful.
Enjoy the day.
Excellent. So we're leaving with some Nadia Bats and Endurance. All right. So keep it locked, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you here. Same time, same place. Father's Day we're celebrating tomorrow. Platinum, big up. All right. And everybody on the outside, all supporters, big up. All right. So Nadia Bats and Endurance. Goose. Endurance.
Endurance. Respect.
I wanna see your eyes roll up. I wanna see your toes curl up. We could go all night, I want you. Come, let me show you something I never show nobody. Come, let me give you something to feel good. For this type of wine, you're not Can